Parameterization in UFT. That is what I will explain in this video. Parameterization in UFT. So I will tell what is parameterization, what are the different types of parameterization, and how many different ways we can create parameterization, or we can do parameterization in UFT, and I will give hands-on example of couple of the parameterizations. So that is the topics of this tutorial video. My name is MD Shahajada Imran. That is my name. So parameterization. Parameterization is using same script for multiple sets of data. Let's say I have one script and I run the script 5 times. Each time a script takes different sets of data. That is parameterization. If I have one script and I can run the script multiple times, a different time script is taking different sets of data, that is parameterization. Parameterization is using same script for multiple sets of data. So how many different types of parameterization? There are two types of parameterization: input parameterization and output parameterization. In input parameterization, I enter data before executing the test. So I set up the data before running the script. Once I run the script takes data from the setup I have given. So that is input parameterization. In input parameterization, I enter data before executing the test. On the other hand, in output parameterization, data is retrieved during executing the test, and we can see the data after the execution ends. So these are the two different types of parameterization: input parameterization and output parameterization. Now I will go how many different types of parameterization. I mean, how many different ways we can do parameterization in UFT. We can have test action component parameter, we can use environment parameter, we can use random number parameter, we can also use DataTable parameter. So there are 4 different ways we can do parameterization. Now I will give hands-on example for this. For each parameter type, how we can create this parameter, how we write in the script, and where this can be accessed. So the first one, I will give a hands-on example on the test parameterization. What is test parameterization, or what is test parameter? What is test parameter? That is what I will talk about now. So I have one UFT script open. This is one UFT script. The script has action 1, action 2, action 3. Also have a function library associated with it. The script has a start and end. If I click here, this color got changed. This color is yellow now. If I click here, the color got changed. The borderline color is yellow now, and this one is green. If I click here, this color is yellow now. So once I click on start, once the circle color is yellow, once the color is yellow, that means the information we supposed to see here, information about the test. Since nothing is showing up here, I will click on view, I will click on properties. The information showed up here for the properties information. So once I click on action, the action related information displayed here. Once I click on action 2, clicked, the color changed, the border color changed, as well as the information, corresponding information changed. It says the action name, action 2, and all the other information. Once I click on action 3, the information changed. The information right now I am seeing that is related to action 3. So once I click on start, the information changed. Now the information I am seeing that is related to the test. So when I say test parameter, that means I can have a parameter that is belongs to the entire test. That belongs to the entire test. So now there are two tabs. This one general properties, other one is parameters. So once I click on parameters, I can see there are two sections, input section and output section. Now in input, I will add one parameter. Right now there is no information, no parameter information displaying here. Once I create one, the information will be displayed here. So I'm creating add input parameter, and I will say test parameter, TP test parameter, first name, and the parameter type is a string. I give a default value MD, that is my first name. So I'm giving test, T refers for test, P refers for parameter, test parameter first name, which is my name. I click on OK. This just displayed, it wasn't here. The moment I created this listed here, also this displayed. If I click here, I can see it says TP first name. So I just created one test parameter, and this test parameter can be accessed from any action. This parameter can be accessed from action 1, can be accessed from action 2, can be accessed from action 3. So I have explained how we can create test parameter, and now I will explain how we can use in the code. So I'm opening action 3. Right now only test open. Here there is nothing here. The moment I will double click on action 3, action 3 will be opened. I'm double clicking, action 3 opened. Action 3 has two lines. For now, let's ignore this line. What I want to see that how we can use this parameter. The test parameter, the name of the test parameter is TP first name. So now I'm going to action 3. I have to write test args, first bracket, double quote, and the parameter name. What is the parameter name? I go back here. It says TP first name. TP first name, double quote in, first bracket end. So this is how we can access one parameter. Now if I want to print whatever value this parameter is holding, I can say print. So once I write print, it will print whatever value this parameter is holding. Since this is a test parameter, the keyword I have to use is test args, first bracket, double quote, and then the parameter name. And the parameter name is TP first name. Now let me run only this line number 6. Right click and run from a step. Run. It printed if I click on output, I can see it printed my first name. So this is test parameter. There are three things I have explained. One is how to create parameter, how to use in the script, and who can access. So these are the three things I have explained. I'm telling again how to create the parameter. Open the test so that I can see a start and the action 1, action 2, action 3 and all the other actions. Then I click on view, click on action properties, so this pan displays. Then click on action, click on start, so that the color got changed to yellow. The border color, the circle color got changed from green to yellow, and the corresponding information comes here. Click on the parameters tab and then add. That is how to create the parameter. And how to use in the script. This parameter, since this is a test parameter, this can be accessed from any action. I have accessed from action 3. In action 3, in the script, I have to write test args and then the parameter name. Then we can access the parameter. So I will mark this one. I will mark this test parameter as green that I have explained. Now I will explain action parameter. What is action parameter? If I go to the test again, I'm clicking on the test, so I can see the test start, action 1, action 2, action 3. So once I click on action 3, I can see action 3's information displayed here. Once I click on action 2, I can see action 2's information displayed here. Once I click on action 1, I can see action 1's information displayed here, as well as the color of the border or the circle has been changed from green to yellow. Now I will create one parameter in action 3. So I am clicking on action 3. The color has been changed from green to yellow, the border color. Also the corresponding information has been changed. Now I will click on parameters. I will click one parameter. So I'm clicking on add, clicking on input parameter. I will say AP, action parameter, and I will say last name. A refers for action, P refers for parameter, and the last name, the parameter name. So the entire thing is the parameter name. The type is a string. I'm giving Imran. That is the default value I'm giving. Clicking on right now. Nothing is showing up here. Nothing is showing up here. The moment I will click on OK, a list will display here also. Something similar to this will come up here. So I'm clicking on OK. I'll click on yes. And this list came up here also. The parameter name showed up here. If I click here, I will see AP last name. A refers for action, P refers for parameter, and the last name. So this is how we can create the parameter, and how we use in the script. Now this is the action parameter. So this parameter can be accessed from the action where I created. I have created in action 3. So it can only be accessed from action 3. Test action can be accessed from any action but action parameter can be accessed from the action where I created. So I have created this parameter in action 3, so it can only be accessed from action 3. Now I will see how we can access. I'm double clicking, so action 3 has been opened. Now this time I will write parameter first bracket double quote AP last name first bracket end. So if it is test parameter, I write test args. If it is action parameter, I write parameter. And the name of the parameter. The name of the parameter is AP last name. That is the name I have given. So now if I want to print, I will write print. I write print. Now if I run this line number 8, it should display the value. The value is Imran. It should display the value. So I'm right clicking on it, running it. It printed Imran here. In the output, it printed the value of this parameter. This is the parameter. This is a action parameter. So again, and who can access? Only action 3 can access, because I have created in action 3. So how to create a parameter? The action parameter. First I will go to the test. I will click on the action where I want to create the action parameter. For this particular scenario, I have clicked on action 3. So I will create action parameter for action 3. And I will click, once the color has been changed from green to yellow, corresponding information displayed here, action 3's corresponding information displayed here. I will click on parameter tab and I will click on add, and I will add. That is how to create the parameter. And how to use in the script, write parameter first bracket double quote the parameter name double quote and first bracket end. That is how for action parameter. This is for action parameter. And the previous one for test parameter. I commented out this one as well. And this parameter, this action parameter, can only be accessed from action 3, because I have created in action 3. Also I can see this parameter belongs to this action 3. So I have given hands-on example for action parameter. So I have given hands-on example for test parameter, action parameter, and then component parameter. Component parameter belongs to ALM. There is a tool called ALM. Also there is a tool called QC, Quality Center, or Application Lifecycle Management. When I use ALM, Application Lifecycle Management, or Quality Center, QC, there we can use BPT test. BPT test requires component, business process component. So there I can use or create, there I can create a component parameter, there I can use it, and there I can be accessed. Right now I do not have the tool ALM or QC installed in this virtual machine. Therefore that cannot be that cannot be displayed or showed hands-on, but I can give theoretical idea. There are a couple of things that I have to make sure, that I have to make sure this is checked. Allow other HP products to run tests and components. This must be checked. And this is ALM, and I have to I have to give all this information: domain name, project name, the quality center URL, login ID, password, and I have to click on login. Then I can get connected, and then I can create the component. Parameter. So this one is out of scope at this time because I do not have ALM or quality center installed in this virtual machine. I only have UFT installed in this virtual machine. There is also demo version for 1 month demo. So I will mark this as yellow color because I couldn't give hands-on example, but I tell the theoretical explanation. Now I go to the second one, that is environment parameter. There are three things: how to create, how to use in the script, and who can access. How to create: files, settings, environment, then I can see built-in and user-defined. If I click on user-defined, I can see I can load external user-defined environmental variables, or I can create internal user-defined environmental variables. So I will create one. I'm clicking on I'm clicking on the plus sign. I will say environment variable. EV refers for environment variable, and I will say middle name, and the value I will give my middle name, Shahajada, and click on OK. So I have created one internal user-defined environmental variable. So there are three types of environmental variables: built-in, internal user-defined, and external user-defined. If I click on built-in, I can see all the built-in environmental variables, and the information about what could be the value. For example, this one, if this is the variable name, local host name, the value would be the name, actual name. OS, that is the name of the built-in environmental variable. Value could be operating system. Operating system is Windows 7. The same way I have created one internal user-defined environmental variables. So this is how we can create the parameter. I'm clicking on apply, click on OK. So I have created that. Now I will access from this action 3. Environmental variable can be accessed from any action. There are 3 actions right now in this particular test. It can be accessed from any action. So I am accessing from action 3. Environment, first bracket, double quote, and I just created that one. This one I just created environment variable middle name. So this parameter is holding the value Shahajada. So I want to print that. Print. So now if I run it, it should print Shahajada here, the middle name. Let me run the line number 10. It printed my middle name, Shahajada. It printed here. So again, how to create I will navigate here following the same step, click on add and click on apply, so it will be added. Previously I have added this one. And second thing is how to use in the code. In the code I have to write environment. If it is test parameter, I write test args. If it is action parameter, I write parameter. If it is environmental variable, I write environment. So this is environment variable parameter. So now we know how to use in the code. In the script, we will write environment and then the name of the environment variable parameter. And where it can be accessed, who can access? It can be accessed from any action. It can be accessed from action 1, can be accessed from action 2, can be accessed from action 3. From any action it can be accessed. So I have given hands-on example for this one. Now random number parameter. Random number parameter can be accessed using a built-in function which will generate a random number. Let's say this is a variable that is random number 1,100. So every time I run the script will randomly pick a number from 1 to 100 and assign to this variable, and then I can print it. I can print it. And for now I want to print 10 times using a for loop. It's basically, since it is a parameterization, if I run the script 5 times, every time the script runs, it will generate a random number from 1 to 100. It will pick any random number from 1 to 100 and assign into this variable. If I run the script 5 times, it will assign 5 times into this variable, but every time it should randomly pick one number and assign to this variable. For now I will use in a for loop 1 to 10. And putting inside of a for loop so that it will print 10 random numbers. So I'm running it. It printed 10 random numbers. It printed 10 random numbers. Yeah. So I clear everything. Actual parameterization means running the same script with different sets of data. Since in every run it will generate a different number, that's why it goes under the parameterization section. Also, and how to access, I have shade, and where it can be accessed from any action. It can be accessed from any action. So this is random number parameter. I also commented out this one. So I have, if it is test parameter, we write test args. If it is action parameter, we write parameter. If it is environmental variable parameter, we write environment, or if it is random number, we write random number, and give a range. And it can be accessed from any action, action 1, action 2, or action 3. So I have said how we can create it, how we can use in the script, and how or which action can access. So this one I have gave hands-on example. Now DataTable parameter. So there are two types of DataTable parameterization. One is global, other one is local. I have one script. This is the script I previously created. It has a start and then action 1, action 2, action 3. If I go to the data table, I'm clicking on the data table, I can see I have one global datasheet, I have one action datasheet, one action 2 datasheet, one action 1 datasheet, one action 2 datasheet, and one action 3 datasheet. So there are 3 action datasheets. Each one belongs to each action. This action 1 belongs to action 1, action 2 datasheet belongs to action 2, and action 3 datasheet belongs to action 3, and the global datasheet belongs to the entire test. If I click on global, I can see there are 2 parameters, parameter function name, parameter URL, and there are 2 rows. This is row number 1, this is row number 2 that has value, others doesn't have value. So global has 2 rows, row number 1, row number 2 that has value, and has 2 columns. This is one column, this is one column. In UFT we call this parameter. This is the parameter, this is the parameter. Now we have global datasheet parameterization and local datasheet parameterization, and I will give hands-on example for this. In action 1, if I click on action 1 doesn't have any value. This is action 1. If I double click on the action 1, it opens Internet Explorer browser. It opens Internet Explorer browser. I'm manually navigating. Later I will run a script, and a script will do that. Once I open Internet Explorer, it opens like this. That is what action 1 is doing. If there is any error handling requires, a script will do the error handling through this. Otherwise, a script will open Internet Explorer browser, and it will look like this. This is action 1. I go to action 2. Action 2 will navigate to Google home page, enter this value. So action 2 will write www.google.com. I'm manually doing, a script will do this later. And action 2 is doing everything. It will write my name. It will write my name in this field and click on a search button, and this result will come up, and the script will. This is action 2's job. And if I go to action 3, double click, action 3 has only one line, that is, it will close this browser. So action 1 will open Internet Explorer browser. Action 2 will go to Google home page or Bing home page and enter data, do the search. Now, and action 3 will close the browser. Now if I go to action 1, if I click the action 1 data sheet, there is no row. If I go to action 2 data sheet, I can see there are 4 rows. Row number 1 has a value rose, row number 2 has a value pen, row number 3 has a value water, row number 4 has a value my name. In the first column or in the first parameter, it has 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Action 2. And if I go to action 3, action 3 doesn't have any row. There is no row that has a value. Again, global has 2 rows that has value, Action 1 doesn't have a single row that has value. Action 2 has 4 rows that has value. Action 3 doesn't have a single row that has value. So that is the scenario. Now what is global iteration? What is global iteration? Global iteration means how many times the entire test will run. A script will start here, and then it will run action 1, and it will run action 2. Since action 2 has 4 rows, action 2 will run 4 times, and then action 3 will run 1 time, and then end. That is one global iteration. A start, action 1 will run 1 times or iterate 1 times since there is no value. Action 2 will run 4 times, or there will be 4 iterations because 4 action iterations, because there are 4 values, and then action 3 will run 1 time because action has no rows. That is one global iteration. And local iteration is action 1 will run 1 time, that is one local iteration of action 1. Action 2 will run 4 times, that is 4 local iteration of action 2. So that is the global iteration and local iteration. Global iteration will run from start to start end, and local iteration how many times a particular action will iterate. Now that I have 2 rows in the global, that means I have 2 global iterations. Action 1 has no rows, that means action 1 has 0 local iteration. Action 2 has 4 rows, means action 2 has 4 local iteration. Action 2 has 4 local iterations maximum, and action 3 has 0 local iteration. Now I can tell a script that a script you run 1 global iteration or 2 global iteration. How I can do that? I can click on files, settings, run. I says run 1 iteration only. Then there will be 1 global iteration for the row number 1. If I click on run on all rows, that means there will be 2 global iteration, one for row number 1 and then another one for row number 2. Click on apply. So there will be 2 global iterations. And action 1 doesn't have any row, so I don't need to do any setting. Action 2 has 4 iterations, so I can tell that a script run action 2 4 times, or run action 2 1 times or 2 times or 3 times. That how I can do. First I click here and then right click, action called properties. It is run on all rows. That means script action 2 will run 4 times. First time it will run whatever value in row number 1 has. Then action 2 will run second time with whatever value action row number 2 has. Action 2 will run third times. Third times when the with the value that is in the row number 3. And action 2 will run 4th time with the value that the row number 4 has. I clicked on run on all rows, so action 2 will run 4 times. And action 3, since action 3 doesn't have value, there is no need for doing anything. Now if I run it, there will be 2 global iteration. For each global iteration, there will be 2 global iteration, one for Google, other one for Bing. There will be 2 global iteration, one global iteration for row number 1, and then second global iteration for row number 2. And for each global iteration, action 1 will run 1 times, action 2 will run 4 times, and action 3 will run 1 time. Let me run it and see what happens. So first, a script should open Internet Explorer and navigate to Google homepage. It did. It should run 4 times. Action 2 should run 4 times. One for rows, other one for pen, and the next one for water, and the last one for with my name, and then close the browser. That's one global iteration, and this is the second global iteration. It should launch Internet Explorer and go to the Bing homepage, and it should enter rows in the search box. This is first local iteration of action 2. This is the second local iteration of action 2. This is the third local iteration of action 2, and this is the last local iteration of action 2 of the second global iteration. So execution ended, and we have seen the result also. This is the result. Action 3 is closing browser. Action 2 has 4 iterations. This is for row number 3. This is the 4th iteration. This is the row number. This is the row number 4. This is the 4th iteration. Anyway, if I want to see the result in a different format instead of this format, if I want to see the result in HP run results viewer, I will run the script again. Second time I'm running it. There will be 2 global iteration. For each global iteration, action 1 will have 1 local iteration, action 2 will have 4. This time I will do one thing. Instead of 4, I will say run only 3 times. I will say run only 3 times. So I will go to action 2, right click, action properties. I will say run from 2 to 4. So it will run for pen, water, and my name. 2 to 4. It will exclude the row number 1. Okay. So there will be 2 global iteration, and each global iteration there will be action 1 will run 1 time, action 2 will run 3 times, action 3 will run 1 time. I'm running again. This is the first global iteration. It didn't run for the row number 1 with the rows. It started with pen and then water, and then it will go with my name. Now this is the second global iteration. It opened Internet Explorer browser. Now it should go to the Bing homepage and enter pen. It entered pen, clicked on the search button. The search result got displayed. Now it should enter water. Click on the search button. It did, and the result displayed. It should write my name and click on the search button. It did, and my information displayed. Now it will display the result in the HP run result viewer. This is the run result viewer. iteration 1, iteration 2. It is loading. Load is completed. Now if I expand, let me collapse again. It will display the result. This is the test. Test has two global iterations. This is a global iteration for row number 1, for this row number 1, and this is the global iteration for the row number 2. For each global iteration, action 1 ran 1 times, action 1. Action 2 ran 4 times, actually 3 times this time. One with this is for the row number 2. This is for the row number 2, and this is for the row number 3, and this is for the row number 4, So there were 3 local iterations, and then action 3 has 1 iteration. So action 1 ran 1 times, action 2 ran 3 times, and action 3 ran 1 time. So this is global iteration. Global iteration, action 1 has 1 local iteration, action 2 has 3 local iteration, and action 3 has 1 local iteration. So now this is, I gave the hands-on example of how we can do local and global parameterization, hands-on example. So I have give in detail explanation about all the different types of parameter. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.